welcome to another episode of Between the Pipes with Archie from All Everything Entertainment.
Hey guys, welcome to another week of Between the Pipes. I'm your host Archie, and I will have Daniel joining me a little bit later. He's just got some commitments he's involved with right now and will be on with us soon. In the meantime, we will go ahead and I just saw a post online I thought was quite interesting. Alain Vigneault, the Flyers head coach, after them losing 5-0 today, came out and said they've got a 5-0 lead and he puts his number one power play on the ice. We had embarrassed ourselves enough. I don't think we needed to get embarrassed more. I'm going to make sure our team is very aware of that next game. Sounds like he's a little bit upset. They were down 5-0. Montreal dominated pretty much the entire game. We'll get into some more details with regards to that game a little bit later. So we will start off right now just with a few quick hits. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to comment. I will try to get through them as much as I can. And hopefully I'm able to answer all of them. So this week, I'm looking to recap the qualifying round. As you can see, I am a Leaf fan, and it does still hurt. Hasn't settled in yet, but we'll look at who did advance to the playoffs. So we'll start off with the Western Conference. So the Golden Knights advanced, the Avalanche, Stars, Blues, of course, and then the Canucks, Flames, Coyotes, and Blackhawks each won their play-in series. So as you see below, that's the seed based on the top four teams having to reseed, and they finished in their respective positions. Then you've got the Canucks, Flames, Coyotes, and Hawks who qualified thereafter. So those are your top 8 in the West. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, we had the Flyers, Lightning, Caps, and Bruins. A little surprising to see the Bruins finish last in that top 4 seed. Some might call it strategic. Some might call it the Bruins not being as good as they used to be. But Flyers surprised a lot of people, probably not Daniel. So then we had the Hurricanes, Islanders, Blue Jackets, and the Canadiens rounding up the top 8 in the East. So we'll visit now with the list of teams eliminated. We'll start off with the West. So the Oilers, Preds, Jets, and Wild. This one here was quite interesting. I think a lot of people were surprised to see the Oilers not get past the first round. Given the fact that they advanced quite a bit this year, they changed their gameplay. They seemed a lot more promising this year than they did in the past. However, with the Blackhawks being a playoff team as they are and being a monster performer in the playoffs, it's hard to count them out, and they show just that. I mean, they played really hard, and you may not hear of all of the Blackhawks players throughout the year. You're starting to see guys like Taves, who pretty much said straight out that he's just going to come out and play and have some fun this year. He's not going to be super hard on himself and take it in stride. And it worked out for them. And then on top of that, their rookies really performed above and beyond what was expected of them. So in the end, most would say the more experienced team won. I'm not sure that you could say the better team won, but I guess the most experienced team in this case was the better one. But yeah, I mean, you got to wonder the frustrations going on in McDavid's head and Draisaitl's head, and in the heads of many Edmonton Oilers fans with regards to what happened. Did they really play to their best capabilities? What was the issue? Were they just having a hard time matching up with the Hawks? Whatever the case is, they now find themselves heading back to Edmonton. Well, staying in Edmonton, just heading back home. And trying to figure out and focus on next year and see where the team goes after that with regards to, do they rebuild? Do they trade? Do they make some big moves? I guess only time will tell. Predators, again, also another team, finished 6th in seeding, and they are out. I think a lot of people expected them to not go as far as usual. Pekka Rinne can only do so much on his own, and I think the team itself is just not where it used to be. So you might start to see a rebuild happening in Nashville with the team probably looking to retool. I can see them making the playoffs again next year with a few moves. I think it'll be a pretty busy off season for a lot of teams this year. So the Jets would be the next team. No surprise here. I think the Jets probably would have had a better chance had Scheifele and Laine not gotten hurt. With the two of them out of the lineup, that's a pretty big blow to that team, and it's hard for them to focus and advance and be able to say, hey, we got what it takes, because I would think they did. But with losing those two key players in their lineup, I think it really put a dent in their hopes. So unfortunately, there's only so much they could have done with what they had, and they lost. So it's tough break for them, but I'm sure next year they'll bounce back and probably be in the playoffs again. Minnesota, one of those teams that technically shouldn't have been there to begin with. They squeezed in hoping to be that, Cinderella team in the West, and unfortunately didn't happen. I think they were not well matched at all, and they just didn't have it. I don't think they had enough to even get past the first round if they would have made it in. Maybe next year, again, another team that might look to retool and improve the team. But from the standpoint of this year in the playoffs, it's unfortunately to see a team go home. But in this case, I feel like coming in as the number 10 team, I don't feel so bad, unfortunately. In the East. So the East was a little interesting. We had the Pens get wiped out, number 5 seed. The Leafs, number 8 seed, got wiped out by number 9 seed. Rangers, Panthers, two teams that probably shouldn't have even been there. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's gotten to a point where, as a Leafs fan, it sucks. It really does. It's frustrating because, every year we say the same thing. Hang on, let me rewind. We'll go back to Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh's out. So I called it from the start. A lot of people said I was crazy. I said it from the beginning. The Montreal Canadiens are going to be the dark horse this year. They are going to be the team to watch. They're going to be the team that you can't sleep on. And a few things had to happen for that to be possible. And so far we've seen it. I thought Carey Price is a solid goalie. Doesn't matter what you say. He's a solid goalie. Even better when his defense is playing in front of him. So he's had that. He's had assistance from his defense from a defensive standpoint. And you've got Shea Weber that's actually producing like the Shea Weber we saw in Nashville. So I think that's a key component that's leading to the success of the Canadiens. And then you look at their offense. I mean, in that round against Pittsburgh, we didn't see much of Max Domi. We didn't see much of Gallagher. We didn't see much of Drouin. Now we're starting to see them a little more in their Flyers series. But when you look back at the Pittsburgh series, they had guys that just, they're third, fourth liners standing out, and some of their, a few of their second liners, but their main stars on that team were just, not that they were non-existent, but they didn't produce to show what everybody knows they're capable of showing. So you look at that and you look at Pittsburgh, they had everybody. They had their healthy lineup. They had Crosby, they had Malkin. I didn't really hear those names much. Crosby had a few cool goals, some nice typical Crosby goals, bank shots that normally wouldn't go in for anybody else. But in the end, I was right. I honestly, I'm a Leafs fan, and I'm not saying that I'm going for the Habs, but that's the team that I said from the start, you got to look out for them because I think they're going to make a little bit of noise. They've got quite a bit to prove. And now they've got a motivation with regards to the situation that's suddenly happened with their head coach. We'll get into that later as well. So yeah, Pens going home. See you later. Leafs, my beloved Leafs. So not a far trip home for them either. But unfortunately, a trip that nobody wanted to see them take. When the Leafs got Columbus, I honestly thought, just like any other Leaf fan, hey, you know what? They're not a team to sleep on, but we can beat these guys. Why not? We've beat them before. In the regular season, Torts is a good coach and everything, but I felt like the Leafs had a shot here. And yeah, the Leafs lost, but I think they also beat themselves with regards to trying too hard in certain cases. We've got probably on paper one of the most dynamic power plays in the league. And to see it function the way it did was frustrating. And it was quite frustrating because you see guys like Matthews, you see guys like Marner and Nylander and Tavares, and you're looking at it and you're like, these guys should be scoring on every power play, and if not every power play, every other power play. And it's not like they didn't have their chances. They were 0 for 4, 0 for 5. you can't do that. You can't have a power play that stacked and just go through and not score any goals. So it was a little bit frustrating to see that happen, especially knowing that during the season, everybody saw just how lethal that power play could be. And unfortunately, unfortunate for the Leafs, Columbus is a really good shutdown team. They box in really well, and the Leafs just couldn't get through. I mean, at times you saw the Leafs struggling to get a pass across and then trying those crazy cross-ice passes on the power play when you know how aggressive Columbus plays. Blew my mind. I would say they got out-coached. They got outplayed. They just physically in every way didn't have what it takes. That comeback game was a huge tease for us. And if you look at it, we lost the exact same way the night before. So, I mean, yeah, it was amazing to see. It felt really good. It gave a lot of Toronto fans hope. But unfortunately, in the end, they just didn't have enough in the tank. And we've seen the media rip apart the Leafs organization just like any time. I mean, you win, you lose. It's Toronto. The media is crazy. They're hungry for stories. They'll say whatever they got to say to get people going. And this year's scapegoat is Mitch Marner. Everybody's on his case. Everybody's shredding his play apart. And he came out and said it. You know, he wasn't proud of how he played in the first game of the series. He wasn't impressed with his play. But unfortunately, you can't put it all on him. And I know that you take a few $1 million, $4 million to be precise, off of his contract, and nobody's going to be chirping Mitch Marner right now. Everybody's going to be saying, you know, it was John Tavares. Was he really the right choice for captain? Or it was William Nylander. He's making too much money. At the end of the day, whether the contract was there or not, he's making the money. He asked for it. They gave it to him. You can't get mad at the kid. He got a payday. So you can't hate on him. But personally, and yeah, I'm a Marner fan, but you know what? I'm going to be honest. If people are going to call him out and his performance, I think you need to look at the games a little better. Maybe go back and watch a few more games because, yeah, he didn't score goals. He still put up the assists. If I'm not mistaken, he had 4 assists in the series, which was equivalent to Nylander's 4 points as well. And the problem here is that everybody's ripping him apart, but I saw him going down blocking shots. When the Leafs pulled their goalie, that guy's unreal. He must have been a street hockey goalie as a kid or really enjoyed playing because with the net empty, he's probably the best guy you have on the ice as your extra forward because he can play defensively and he plays it really well. So, I mean, the fact that seemed to get not go as noticed as it should have been. And I think everybody's just looking at the amount of money he's making and the fact that he didn't score any goals. So unfortunately, Mitch, probably not watching this, but if you are, man, I love you. We want to see you here. And hopefully Toronto starts to realize soon enough that if the money's there and the team can pay them, who cares where it's at? You know what I mean? Yeah, they could have probably used the money to, you know, address the big problem on defense that they've had for years. But unfortunately, when Dubas and Shanahan made these moves, everybody thought they were the geniuses of the world. And now that the Leafs are out, I'm not even saying out of the playoffs because they didn't even get into the playoffs. They bowed out of the play-in round that would have got them into the playoffs. So next year, how many times you hear us that in Toronto? But yeah, let's move along. Rangers, 11 seed team gets into the playoffs and they're out. But hey, might not be a bad thing. They're out, and now all of a sudden they see themselves a couple days after being knocked out with that number 1 pick. We'll get into that later too. I know a lot of people want to know about what happened with that ball. That guy was actually trolled for the 2 days, I think, after the fact for dropping that ball. But anyways, we'll get into that a little bit later. But Rangers are out. I think there's rumors that they may not hold on to that pick. Again, a discussion we'll have a little bit later, but it may not be a bad idea to consider moving it if they're looking to add more pieces. And later on in the show, we'll discuss that. Hopefully by that time, Daniel will be back because I'd love to get his opinion on that as well. Panthers, number 10 seed, they're out. I think with them, it was a long shot to begin with. The Islanders were just a strong team, and they came out hard with them. And unfortunately, I think they're a faster team and better equipped to play in a playoff series. Whereas Florida, Bobrovsky is all they really can count on. And I didn't see much performance from the team that I thought I would see. I mean, considering they're not exactly a team that's been in the playoffs for so many years in a row type thing, to see them in there was nice. But unfortunately, they just didn't have enough. They didn't have what it takes to go on and contend. So Florida, other team gone. So that's it for eliminated teams. So we'll go through the first round matchups currently going on. And I'll start off with the Golden Knights and the Hawks. The Knights are up 2-0 in this series. This is a shocker for me. I actually thought this would go 7 games. Not counting the Hawks out yet, but to be down 2-0, and the Knights just seem like they just can't lose. They're playing so well. They're so fast. Marcia So is just playoff performer. The guy's a beauty, and he just keeps on going, and that team is on fire right now. So Chicago's really got to turn things on and remember that it's a best of 7. They got a little more time, but they're down 2-0. They've put themselves in a bad spot to get things going. But again, Chicago's a playoff team. You can't just count them out. I don't see them getting swept, but they're really going to have to fight to get back into this one down 2-0. Heading on to Colorado and Arizona. So Avs are up 2-0 in this series. If you would have asked me before this all started how far I'd see the Avs going, I probably wouldn't have seen them this far. And I hate to say this, but Kadri's having an amazing playoff so far. He's doing really well on that team. And I think a lot of people in Toronto may be bitter about it. I didn't like to see him go. Unfortunately, Toronto, that's what happens, right? He was 2 years in a row. Unfortunate incidents that led to him being suspended in crucial times, but he's definitely made up for it with Colorado. He's playing level-headed. He's very involved with the game. He's so fast and just such a quick set of hands, and I've seen him make some really good passes and finishing plays, and he's scored a couple of goals too. So, I mean, he's doing really well, and I'm happy to see that for him. If I could say out of all the ex-Leafs in the playoffs right now, who would I want to see lift the cup? I wouldn't mind seeing Nazem Kadri win the Stanley Cup. I mean, he's a gritty player. I miss his play in Toronto, and I hope that one day we see him back in a Leafs jersey. So good luck to him. The Avs are up 2-0 in that series, and we'll see what happens going forward with them. They actually won 3-2 today to take that 2-0 series lead. So they're on a roll. Moving on to the Stars and Flames, series tied at 1. This is quite the entertaining series that I did not expect. Last night's game was probably one of the most exciting games I've seen all year. Just to reiterate what happened there. So Flames go up 1-0 in the first 19 seconds of the game on a goal by Dubé, and that guy's on fire right now. That was his 4th of the playoffs. About 2 minutes later, Radulov scores to tie it up, and then Heiskanen scores 2-1 Dallas going into the second. Heiskanen scores again in the second, in the first 5 minutes of the period, and then the Flames come back and make it 3-2. Dallas is up. Corey Perry, another playoff performer, scores for Dallas, puts them up 4-2. Going into the third period, 4-2 Stars. Flames come back, and in a span of about just over 4 minutes, they get goals from Ryder and Bennett and bring the game to a 4-4 tie. Everyone's expecting this game to go to overtime. I was watching it and I'm thinking, overtime, here we come. This is going to be an exciting game. Until Jamie Alexiak puts the puck in with 40 seconds left on the clock, and just unbelievable. Like it was just quite the back and forth game. Calgary was really pouring it on in the third period, and it was unfortunate that it ended the way it did. I think both teams were deserving in this one, but I mean, we saw Dallas blow the lead. Flames came back. I was hoping for a better outcome for the Flames just for my hockey pool purposes, but 5-4 Dallas wins, series tied at 1. I have a feeling this series is going 7 games. It's just such a good back and forth series. And I mean, it's no Edmonton-Calgary series, but I think we've just seen the start of a potential rivalry in the future. So way to go. Great hockey. We'll see what happens there. Next series, and a game that is currently going on, we've got Vancouver and St. Louis. The Canucks surprisingly lead this series 1-0 and currently lead the game 1-0 about halfway through the second period. I don't know what to say here. I honestly thought St. Louis would bounce back, defending champs. It could go either way, 50-50. Sometimes they come back stronger. Sometimes they come back and they're so-so. I'm not saying the Blues are so-so, but right now the Canucks are up 1-0 in the series. And again, still early, but I didn't think Vancouver would take a game in this. And the game that they did win was a pretty convincing one, 5-2. So it's not like they just squeezed by. They won that game by a marginal score, and they're doing pretty well. So we'll see how tonight progresses. Again, it's 1-0 Vancouver about midway through the second period. So I'll keep you guys posted on that game as we go throughout the night. We will switch over now to the Eastern Conference matchups. So Flyers Canadians, that one, I forgot to update on the ticker, is actually tied at 1. The series is tied at 1 after Philly took that first game of the series. And it was an awesome game. Like, game 1 was pretty fun for the Flyers. Montreal, not so much. But after the Montreal game, they received some news that Claude Julien, unfortunately, experienced some difficulties. I don't know if it was breathing and chest pains, was rushed to hospital. Things were kind of left in the air. Nobody really knew what was going on. Turns out, we'll go into some more details later, but he was relieved of his duties in the meantime until further notice. I don't see him coming back for the playoffs. In the meantime, Kirk Muller has taken over as coach for the Habs, and today was his first game as bench boss, and 5-0. Yeah, the Habs beat the Flyers 5-0, and we saw Muller mixing things up, changing the lines up quite a bit, and as a result, we saw the guys that we didn't see in Game 1, and, Tatar had 2 goals, and Kotkaniemi had his third of the playoffs. Delarmia scored, and Kotkaniemi had a second. So they played a much better game than they did the other night. Shots were pretty even, 32-30 Montreal, but Montreal capitalized on their opportunities. And we saw some big saves in Game 1, and unfortunately, I think Carey Price deserved a better outcome in that game. But you got to give him credit. And like I said, don't sleep on those Habs. So 5-0 Game 2. The series is tied at 1. We'll see what happens in the next one. And my buddy Igor is not here right now, but if he was, he would definitely be saying, "Go Habs." And he'd be telling me to make sure that everybody watches and makes sure that they cheer for the Habs. So for the record, I'm not cheering for the Habs. I just think they're a team that you got to watch out for. I'm not just going to hate on them because I'm a Leaf fan. Every Leaf fan hates the Habs, but I think I hate Boston a little more than the Habs anyways, but that's me. I'm sure a lot of people would agree. Next series, we're going to go to Lightning and Blue Jackets. That is a series that is also currently tied at 1. We saw, I'm just going to check this out. So the Jackets came out and won 3-1 last night, and it was interesting because they were actually down 1-0. And then Tampa just stopped playing hockey. And, I say they stopped playing hockey. They stopped scoring goals because they had shots on net. They actually led and dominated in shots, but it was just Columbus had the lucky bounces. They had things going their way. And just like in Toronto, they were able to find the net more times than their opponents. So they are now at a point where series tied at 1. This series could really be anybody's series. I don't know that I would rule anybody out just yet. This is another one that I think might go 7 games. But who knows? I don't see it ending in 5 or 6. I honestly think it'll go 7 games. It'll go back and forth. And it's going to be a hard-fought series. And I think the winner of this series could potentially make it maybe to the finals, depending on how well they play and how well the other teams beat each other up. But something tells me this series here, these two teams, we're not going to see the last of one of them beyond the next round. I think one of them might actually go further than that, but who knows? Next one, Capitals, Islanders. This one here, the Isles lead 1-0. I think we're starting to see the aging of the Caps. People are going to say I'm nuts here, but this goes out to all the people who think Alexander Ovechkin is going to break Wayne Gretzky's record for goals scored. Unrelated, I know, but this is just me speaking. I feel that Alexander Ovechkin, although he's not old, he looks old. He looks a lot older than he really is. But I think his aggressive, some might call it, but I like to refer to it as reckless style of play. And I don't say reckless in a bad way. I just say it as in he's just all over the place and so fast, so quick. And when contact happens with him and another player, and we saw it happen in the Leafs series a couple years ago, I believe, he sustained a knee injury, and we saw how much it impacted them. So he's still who he is. You know, he's Ovi. You give him that shot from the face-off circle, it's probably going in 9 times out of 10. But they're down 1-0. They play tonight at 8 o'clock. That game actually starts up in about a couple minutes. And I think the Islanders are going to take a 2-0 lead. I really do. I think Washington, unless they come out hitting right off the hop and really take it to them physically in the first period, I think the Islanders are going to win this one and take a 2-0 lead. That's all I got. Bruins, Hurricanes. Series tied at 1. They did not play today. They played yesterday 3-2. Oh, this was the game I wrote about, and as I was writing, I was watching the replay of the Dougie Hamilton goal. What a rocket. That guy bounces back, former Bruin, comes in here and just unleashes a cannon. And it's one of those goals where you could just watch it over and over again. And in my article from yesterday that posted this morning, I posted that and I started my new highlight of the night reel. So every article that I read each day will feature a highlight of the night from the night before. And I think I already have mine for tomorrow. Do you guys see that McKinnon goal today? That was unreal. A quick snapper off the post. And it was just one of those goals where you watch it over and over again just to hear the sound of the post and how just such a quick release. You see it and then you just hear the post and the puck's in. So, but what I liked about this goal Hamilton scored last night was one of those where Tuukka Rask had no idea where that puck was. It went by him, and I think like 3 seconds later, Rask's hand goes up, and it's like, what are you waving at? That puck is long gone behind you. It's in. Game over. I mean, it didn't end that way. That was at 8:30 of the third period, but that was the game-winning goal, and what a goal it was. So that wraps things up with regards to the series. So now we're going to talk about a few other things here. So the big one that stands out is Rod Brind'Amour fined $25,000, and in addition, a conditional $25,000 for any subsequent behavior over the next year. In other words, that's them saying, shut your mouth or you'll be down $50,000. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but rumors have it that the team itself paid that fine as a support of Brind'Amour. And, you know, I look at it as he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. And I know that the rule is you don't criticize officials in the form or the way that he did, but he wasn't wrong. How do you question a call like that? And then it's one call or another, and somehow either way, both are ruled against the team and ended up being a penalty as a result because it was a failed coach's challenge and just a mess overall. Like, it made no sense. I don't see how that was possible. It was a hand pass. And if you want to call it a redirect, whatever you want to call it, it was still redirected from one player to another. Now they argued that, okay, it was a hand pass, but Mrazek tried to cover that puck and then it was dug loose and that negated the hand pass, which resulted in the goal. So then you can look at, so why was the whistle not blown if he froze the puck? And they argued that it wasn't frozen long enough to blow the whistle. Essentially, I think it was a blown call. I'm sure a few others think the same thing. Led to the loss, and so he's down $25,000 and has to shut his mouth. But that's like telling Tortorella to stop talking. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen again. And you know what? If it's right, it's right. Big deal. $25,000 for a coach making that kind of money. If it means it'll spark his team a little bit and show the support that he's got for his players, then do what you got to do. That's on Brind'Amour. Now we go on to our next story, and it's an unfortunate one. Claude Julien hospitalized. Now, we learned that originally they said they ruled out COVID-19, and in that same conversation, it was announced that Kirk Muller would take over the duties while Julien was out. Now, he was released, and today it was found out that he actually had a procedure done. Basically, had a stent put in his main artery, and essentially, I would call it potentially life-saving surgery. So, quite the procedure. I think it's called an angioplasty or something like that. So yeah, he's doing well now, back home with his family, and as a result, this is why I said I don't see him coming back. I don't think stressful environments are good for someone who's just been through that kind of a procedure, and not to mention the risks of COVID. So we wish him all the best. You never want to see somebody suffer any sort of thing like that, whether it be family, friends, celebrities, athletes, whatever the case may be. So glad to hear he's okay. Glad to see he's back home with his family. Kirk Muller so far filled in real well today with a big 5-0 win in his honor. And you could argue that this might light a bit of a fire under those Habs. So look to see some more changes. You're going to see a different team, a different lineup, different lines, mixing it up. I think whatever he did today worked. So he's probably going to do that again moving forward in the upcoming games. So before we get into first round predictions, I'm just going to look over some of the comments here to try to get to you guys. Got Austin. Hey, what's up, Austin? Flyers lost, didn't they? Yes, Daniel's not here to rip you apart for that one, but they did. Pens need defensive players. I see a rebuild soon. I have a feeling, though. Yes, they do. And I think the rebuild is happening. I think they're going to definitely be rebuilding that team in the next year during the offseason, because obviously they can score goals. So I think they're just at a point where a little bit of retooling, and I think they'll be fine. Price is solid. You're right. I know. I feel like if the Habs didn't go far with Carey Price this year, I know his contract is pretty big, but I feel like Carey Price might potentially ask for a move out of Montreal. Habs fans right now would probably kill me for saying this, but I honestly think that the guy wants to win, and he's very deserving of a Stanley Cup win. I think Montreal's chance is now. They've got a lot of young players, a lot of good players on this team. Drouin was a great addition to this team, and I think that Montreal, they're getting there. They definitely, you can tell they're missing the home ice advantage with the crowd, because, man, I've been to a game in Montreal, and let me tell you, it's loud. It is loud in that building. Yeah, I was jealous. I mean, I know everybody's number one complaint with Leaf games is that it's so quiet, too many suits in the seats, and the Leafs are, the fans suck. It's too expensive to go, so you got all businesses there, and it's true. In my time working with them, I got to see a different level of the playing surface, and being in the lower bowl, you hear a lot more. And it actually wasn't as quiet as it seemed on TV. The difference is that a lot of arenas have amplified sounds. They actually, for the purposes of broadcasting, they amplify the sounds of the crowd so that when you're watching it on TV, it's much louder than it really is. Whereas Toronto doesn't do that. They haven't done that, and I wish they would. It makes it more entertaining knowing that your crowd is behind you. I mean, there it's loud, but again, when you're watching it on TV, nothing's more exciting than hearing the crowd get into the game. So hopefully they get into that as well, and they start to amplify the crowd noise, because it does work. I mean, it's sad to say, but this EA Sports, I think, did a better job with creating that crowd buzz. Pretty sad that a game-enhanced sound made it better. Tyler, hey, what's up? Glad that you joined us. Glad that you and Austin have both joined us. Austin again here. I know what the Rangers should do with the first pick. Let me guess. You want to see them trade it to the Penguins. Not going to happen. If they're going to trade that pick to anybody, I can tell you it is not going to anybody but another Canadian team. And I will get into that a little bit later. Austin says he called the Stars to win that game. And then says, if Montreal takes a series, I'm going to laugh. Daniel is a Flyers fan also. Yes, he is. And Daniel will not laugh. Daniel will be very upset. But I will be here to console him and comfort him, because I have several years of experience of watching my team lose and lose and lose. But yeah, I got you, Dan. Don't worry, man. If they lose, there's always next year. Learn it. Say it. It's a beautiful phrase. It's wonderful. Ovechkin isn't going to break that record. I agree, Austin, and I personally don't want to see him break it, but I don't think he's going to break it. I don't see it happening. I'll leave it at that. People are going to argue with me all day on this conversation. I've had it before. Igor, I hear you, man. You guys had a great game today, so I'm glad that you joined, and I'm telling you, don't give up on those Habs just yet. Austin Julian, I'm glad he's released. He should wait till after the Cup to come back. I agree. I don't think it's a good idea for him to come back. It's also not a good distraction for his family, for the team, for anybody right now. Focus on your safety and your life. There's another season next year. You know what I mean? Health is number one priority, should always be, and especially with what's been going on, probably the best thing for him to be is at home with his family, resting, getting whatever rest he needs. And he's got a job next year. Nothing to worry about. Igor, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem with Montreal. They don't like coaches who can't speak French. And you know what? Maybe this breaks that trend. And who cares if he speaks French or not? The team understands him. They won 5-0. I think Kirk Muller is a great coach. I think he'd be a great fill-in, and we'll see it now. And maybe this might help solidify a position for him in the future with the team as a potential head coach. Who knows? But I don't see that being an issue with the team. I think it's more of a Montreal people thing, and get over it. English is just as valid as French. Who cares if he speaks French or not? I'm sure he can communicate very well if he needs to. Hey, Carey Price retiring in Montreal. I don't think so. I really don't. Unless Montreal wins a cup this year, it's possible Carey Price stays, but I don't see him retiring there, man. I don't think so. I kind of wish he came to Toronto one day, maybe. I don't know. I see him going to LA for some reason. I don't know. He might be going to LA. I can't see anybody in the East getting him because Montreal would be crazy to somehow allow that to happen. And that is followed up with he's not going anywhere. So I understand. I would be saying the same thing if I had Carey Price as my goalie. Austin ain't scared of Daniel and his Flyers. Well, his Flyers are in. Your Pens are out. What else we got here? Rangers should keep their pick. They should. But that being said, if they are not chasing or have much interest in Lafreniere when almost everybody else is, why not? I'm going to say it now. Why not consider a trade with Ottawa to take their picks, their 2 first-round picks, in exchange for the number 1? Reason I say this is because they can land 2 pieces to their puzzle and address 2 issues that would be much more beneficial to them because I don't know that they really need Lafreniere. I mean, anybody would want him, but if you can trade that number 1 pick for 2 first-round picks, I believe at 3 and 5, why not? Why not? It's something to consider, but who knows? Maybe I'm just crazy. Who knows? Igor, what a difference when you have the offensive key players really set up. Agreed. And I said it before, once Montreal finds their all four lines are rolling and they're getting the performances from all their players that they should be getting it from, I agree. This team is much more entertaining to watch, and they're definitely a team that can win games, as we saw today, and will continue to win games. Gary, the Blackhawks were driving me crazy last night. They try to get too fancy. Shoot the puck. Brother, preach. I'm a Leafs fan. Did you watch the Leafs play? Shooting the puck is probably the number 1 thing. And Don Cherry, man, I miss that guy, but Don Cherry said it the best. Shoot the puck. Your defenseman should shoot the puck. Stuff happens when you shoot. And the greatest player on this planet said it himself. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Write that down. It is so true in life, in sports, in hockey, in everything. You live by that. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You don't take a chance, you won't succeed. You won't shoot on net, you're not going to score. You can't complain. It's just like saying, I never win the lottery. Do you play? If you don't play, you're not going to win, right? So it's one of those things where, shoot the puck. You shoot the puck, things can happen. One last comment here. Just imagine how lethal it would be if there was consistency with Kotkaniemi, Suzuki, Domi, Armia, Tartar. Daniel, what is up, buddy?
What is up?
Thank you for joining us. I haven't gone through the predictions yet. I was just getting through the comments here.
Sounds good.
one last one from Austin here. All starting 5 players should shoot the puck. Agreed. Hey, I would even say the goalie should shoot the puck. Everybody shoot the puck. Things happen. So we're going to get into first round predictions. In the West, I'm taking, I know this is crazy considering they're down 2-0 in the series. I'm taking the Hawks, the Avs, the Flames, and the Canucks. I'm not counting the Hawks out just yet. They're down 2-0. The Knights are playing crazy hockey, but I think Chicago's experience is stronger, and I hope that they do a little more than just get knocked around by the Knights. But down 2-0 in the series is going to be a little tough for them. I said it before, the Avs, I think, are playing really good hockey. Again, watch that McKinnon goal today. It was just something beautiful to watch. And Flames, I'd like to see them go on just because they're that team that I've always enjoyed watching play. And I think they've got what it takes to make a little noise. So I think they'll do well. And I think the Canucks are due. They're due for some success. And unfortunately, Luongo's not there, but I am looking forward to some of his tweets throughout the series. So that's my pick on the West. And in the East, I'm saying Montreal. Sorry, Daniel. Tampa Bay, Washington, and Boston. I hate Boston with a passion, but they're that team that once those guys wake up, we saw Marchand score the other night, and it's just going to keep happening now. And it's unfortunate because I can't stand the guy, but he's a hell of a hockey player. So I think Canadians are my dark horse. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. Washington, they're in there for me, but I won't be surprised if I don't see them move on. So that's my predictions there. Daniel, we'll get into yours now with the West if you want to fill us in on your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I got the Golden Knights, of course. I just think you said the Blackhawks are more experienced. I kind of think the Golden Knights are a little bit more experienced. If you take away Kane and Taves from Keith from the Hawks, the Knights have been in the playoffs the past 3 years, and some of their guys are still there. Riley Smith is stepping up now. I like their goaltending a lot better. They got a 1-2 punch of Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury. Lehner has been good the past couple of years, including with the Ironers coming over to here to Vegas. And then I got the Avs. They're my number one choice in the West. They're just clicking on all cylinders. The Flames, they came back last night and lost in the last 30 seconds, but they showed their fight the whole game. They won the first game. I think, and when it comes down to it, I think that might be like a longer series, like a 6-7 game series, but I think the Flames were pulled out. And then I got the Canucks. They're just they're my sneaky team throughout this whole playoffs. They got Pedersen. Horvat is picking it up. He has 5 goals now. Yeah. They're up 2-0 right now in that game that's going on right now. He has the goal, and then I forget who has the other one. But he's picking his game up. And then the goalie situation has been decent. And that was their weakness coming in. And the goalies has done good. And that's how I feel about the West. And if you can put the East up.
Yep.
Of course, I'm going to be a homer and go with the Flyers. They got their butt kicked today, but I thought that was more so the Canadians coming out to play after Claude Julien got sent home. I think they were under more fire and wanted to play for him, and I think the Flyers couldn't match it this game. But last game, the Flyers, it gave it to them. Hart played great. Their defense played great. But I do think that the Flyers need Drew and Couturier to pick it up. You saw Voracek have a good game 1, just so they can win in 5 games instead of like a longer series. I do think if one of those two don't pick it up, that the series could be a long one. I got the Lightning, even though I have a feeling with how they're playing that Columbus could take it if they pour out this next game that they have. But I still got the Lightning, the more experience. They got the more firepower in the goalie. But the Ironers, I got them upsetting the Capitals. I don't know what happened in the first game, but the Capitals went up 2-0, and then all of a sudden the Ironers just went boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. And once you give up a lead to the Ironers, it's going to be hard to get back in the game because they do well on the defense and in goalie. And then I got the Bruins, just like you said. They're a good physical team. They pick it up, but Tuukka Rask needs to get focused. I feel like he's not there.
Mm.
I don't know if you caught the interview last night where he said that he feels like that this is an exhibition game.
Yeah, because of the crowd.
Because the crowd, and then they interviewed Marchand, and Marchand said the complete opposite. He said this is like a playoff atmosphere, and I just feel like if they were winning, he wouldn't have said that. But because they lost, I feel like he had a little bit of sour grapes. So he needs to focus more so they can win, and then he can say whatever.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I can't see. I mean, like I was saying earlier on, EA Sports, I think, did a really good job with doing the crowd simulation. They've done really well with it. It actually made a Leaf game sound more exciting too. So I think a little more volume could be used, and maybe they could have done a little better with getting actual chants from the home teams, or like the goal songs with the crowd singing along. I thought that was supposed to happen, but we haven't really heard much about it. But Rask missed that just like he missed that puck last night. I don't know if you saw that goal when Dougie Hamilton. It was an absolute rocket, but Rask delayed reaction like that puck. He had no chance of stopping that puck. No. But my goodness, I watched that replay like 4 or 5 times, and it was just an absolute cannon. Like nobody would have stopped that puck.
And then the Bruins were up 1-0, and then all of a sudden 2 minutes later it was 2-1 because you had the shorthanded goal, and then you had the goal right after it, and then they did tie it up like a couple of minutes later, but then the Hurricanes took the lead back once they I think they took Mrazek out and they put the backup in, and then he did a little bit better. And then I don't know if you saw in the one game who was playing. I think it might have been, it was that game, but it was the game 1, that bogus call.
I mentioned it before. Yeah, that was it was the hand pass that was ruled not a hand pass because he touched it, but then he covered the puck and they said it wasn't covered long enough. Kind of a weird play. I think Brindamore's right. That should not have been a goal.
Yeah, because he held it for like 3 seconds. And
absolutely.
Then, the guy went right into the glove and it just goes strolling out.
Yep.
He was basically done. He covered it. They should have caught it right there. But they did it, and then it wound up losing them the game later on. And then I want to get right to Eagle's comment. I want to congratulate him because he's a Canadians fan, and they put a butt whooping on us today. I want to get your feeling on that penalty on Ghost that led to the third goal. I want to know what his thoughts of it, because I was watching that and I saw it and I'm like, how are you going to call a penalty on Ghost when he had his hands up? Didn't even touch him. But because the Canadians player Domi had his hands up, they called the penalty just because he put his hands up. Ghost didn't even touch him.
Domi can sell a call, man. That guy knows how to sell a call. He's really good at that.
Yeah, he was like 5 feet away from him when they called the penalty. I'm like, he didn't even touch him. But all to Montreal for showing up. The Flyers didn't show up, and they better show up in Game 3 because I don't want to go down 2-1.
So Igor's actually calling 4-2 series win, and he's already predicting Columbus. Here we come. You're giving Columbus too much credit, man.
Yeah. And then I thought it was weird. Of course, I'm over here in the Philly area, listen to the commentators, and there was a mess up with the card where one of the guys that was on the Canadians wasn't even in the starting lineup. They had him as scratched, and then you see him going out there, and the Jim Jackson and Bill Clement were like, "What's this guy doing?" We thought he wasn't playing, and he's out there, and I think it was Eakins or something like that. Or
I didn't catch that.
Eakins, and then he's out there and he's making all these plays happen. And like, for a guy that's not supposed to be on the lineup, he sure is playing well.
So I just did some research while you're talking. We were talking about Tampa there. So Stamkos is still out of the lineup, and he has not played since February 25th against Toronto. It says if he can return at any point, he should provide some top-end value to that team. What's wrong with him? Like, what's keeping him out?
What is it?
Like, I'm trying to see what it was, and it happened against the Leafs, but I honestly didn't realize how bad this injury was. But he's been out a long time, and man, that guy's got the worst luck when it comes to being in or out of the lineup at the worst times for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
He had surgery on his leg, and then I think he.
Again, a leg injury. Like, that guy's legs are done. I don't know how much more hockey that guy's going to have left in him with all these leg injuries.
It says a core muscle injury. That's what it said. And he got hurt in phase 2. And then it said it was supposed to be able to play in the qualifying, but he wound up not being able to. So I don't know if it's confidence or if he has setback, but it doesn't say anything right now.
Yeah, there's nothing else behind it. Igor says, dude, do you remember what I said about the Columbus Blue Jackets before they even played the Leafs? Yeah, but I feel like you would have said that about any team that played the Leafs just because you hate the Leafs as a Habs fan. But regardless, you're right. You did say, Columbus, you got to be careful for them. They're going to come out playing, the number 9 seed. They were probably the most even matched team the Leafs could have had, which is why I said, hey, I'm happy we got Columbus, and now my foot's so deep down my mouth I can't even believe it, because I thought this was going to be a nice, easy series for Toronto, and my goodness, was it not. So it's that team. They're the team that, you can't just say it's going to be an easy series with them at all.
And how about Pierre Dubois? How great he's been playing since the restart.
Pierre-Luc Dubois. It's funny because I collect hockey cards, and I actually had a really nice card of his, what they call an RPA. So it was a rookie card with a game patch from one of his jerseys and his autograph, and really nice looking card. I couldn't give this card away because I couldn't find anybody who A, was a Blue Jackets fan, and B, cared enough to buy this card. I ended up selling it. I don't remember how much. It wasn't much at all. Really nice looking card, great autograph on it, and I probably should have kept it because he's really stepped up his game, and I'm thinking he's gonna probably be their MVP of the playoffs if you want to look at it that way. If they advance, I think he's going to be a big part in that, even in the series right now.
Yeah, because even when he's not scoring, he's become a playmaker when he's setting guys up, and then he's a hustler. And I think that's what Toronto lacked on the defensive side of things. They don't really hustle that much. I know they lost Musin, and Tyson Barrie hasn't played what he should be, but you would think that they would have hustled. They gave away too many easy goals, just not hustling to the puck, clearing it out so their dominant forwards can take over.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so part 2 of who wins the cup. I can't say Leafs now, so I don't really like any Eastern teams to win it. I'm going to stick with Colorado. I know you want your Flyers, and hey, I mean, I wouldn't say they don't have a shot. They've got a pretty good one. They're playing much different hockey than I expected. They're a very strong team, very fast-paced. I think, it's not a long shot like it was for me to say the Leafs. I just said it as a homer, but I knew the Leafs were not going to win the cup this year. There's no chance in hell, because even if they got to the finals, the Western Conference is a different beast, and the Avalanche, I think, are going to be the team to come out of the West and potentially win this cup. Could we see a Colorado-Philly final? Who knows?
That's my prediction, because I give the Canadiens all the respect, but a 5-game series is a 5-game series. This is a 7-game series, and it's a lot different. And I honestly think we have a deep lineup on all the lineups. We go forward line and all 4 defensive lines. We go deep, and then we got Carter Hart in goal. And then just when it comes down to it, I think we're playing like this, and Giroux and Couturier haven't been playing well. What happens when they start playing well?
Exactly.
Well, and to me, that's the X factor, because the Canadians, most of them are playing the 4 what they're supposed to, because you just had Ty Domi pick it up, and we're in a 1-1 series right now. It's not like the Canadians are up 2-0 on us. We took the first game 2-1. Voracek picked this game up there. He was actually getting physical and everything, and then you had the first goal. And then we got some of the young guys playing well, like Farabee, and whatnot. Of course, Carter Hart's playing, Sanheim.
Mhm.
We got Philip Myers has been playing great. I love him, and he's a tall guy that just clears the puck. And then Provenov, and it's just a matter of time before we hit the next level. Because in the round robin, it was a different style. We were playing all physical teams, and then of course the Lightning all for strength, whereas the Canadians were in a series with the Penguins, so they have a little bit more of this style playing wise. Whereas it took us time to get used to the speed of play that they're on, and then just like I said, game 2. I just think Montreal showed up for Claude Giroux, and the Flyers didn't have an answer for it. And I think now the Flyers are going to answer back on Sunday.
So Igor's predicting a Boston-Montreal Eastern Conference final. That would be the series of a lifetime for both teams because of the history there. I don't see that happening, unfortunately, Igor. I know I said don't sleep on the Canadians, but I also said don't dream about them either. I don't see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals, unfortunately. They're a good team. They're not a great team. But that's my opinion as a Leaf fan. And I don't see a Montreal-Boston final in the East. And in the West, you've got Knights versus Canucks. And the Canucks are actually now up 2-1 after the second period. I still think that series could go either way. If the Canucks take a 2-0 lead, it doesn't guarantee them anything because St. Louis has experience and they can easily come back and bounce back in that series. So we saw the draft lottery on that Monday after the teams were eliminated. So the Lafreniere sweepstakes were won, as we saw, by the New York Rangers. Very controversial, dramatic display when they had that whole presentation with the guy dropping the Rangers ball and everybody coming out on Twitter saying the ball was weighted, it was dropped because of how heavy it was. I was more concerned with the fact that the Leafs came that close, and just like Tavares hitting the post on an open net, that ball bounced, and came back down, and then the Rangers ball snuck its way in there. So that would have been amazing for Toronto. But now, do you think the Rangers keep this first-round pick?
Oh yeah, and then to bounce off what you said with the ball, if you actually when you show me the slow mo of it, it looked like the Toronto Maple Leafs ball was going up, and then the Rangers one just jumps over it and goes up over it. And Brian Hartar from Sportsbox was talking about it the other day, and I told him what you said, and he just shows a picture of the ping pong balls and all 24 with the Rangers logo. Because he said he lost his voice and he's just getting it back now, and that was on Monday and now it's Friday.
Yeah,
and I think they keep it because they need guys on the first 2 lines. Their first line is really well, but the second line needs help because their first line dominant, and they need somebody to help out Kapakako. On that second line because he needs to play better, and this guy can help him out.
So my thing was, and it was a rumored thing too, was New York's got number 1 pick. Lafreniere is most likely the guy to get picked. If you're not looking to take Lafreniere, would it make sense for New York to trade that number 1 pick to Ottawa to take their number 3 and number 5 in the first round, knowing they can still get 2 solid players? Ottawa gets the guy they need to keep that team alive, and New York gets 2 players versus the 1 that they may be more interested in.
I don't think Ottawa would do that because they need players. And yes, Lafreniere is great, but they need several guys, and they need to. Thinking over it yesterday, if I was Ottawa, I would keep number 3 and then try and dangle number 5 for somebody to give you like a later first-round pick and then maybe like a second or third-round pick. Mm-hmm. So you can get guys because you need bodies on Ottawa. You can't just count on Cabot and then that's it.
Yep, makes sense. Let's see what else people are saying here. Looks like we got two fans in here tonight with Austin and Igor. So Igor says, I feel even with Lafreniere. Toronto is cursed. The Leafs could have Lafreniere and Carey Price.
Yeah.
Nothing would happen. That is no way, man. If the Leafs had Carey Price in net, we'd be talking a different story today. Because the big problem, and I like Freddie Anderson. I'm not gonna, rain on his parade or anything like that and say it was all his fault. 0-8 when it matters to be the clutch win, and you're 0-8, and people thought that was a Leaf stat. That was Freddie Anderson's numbers. 0-8 in elimination games where you need to win. Can't blame the defense on all 8 games, man. Like, I know the Leafs defense is suspect, but you can't blame the defense on 8 games. So you need to steal a game. And if you're going to steal a game, I don't need you to steal a late one or a first game in the series. You got to steal the game that's going to keep your team alive or get them into the next round. So unfortunately, I think Freddie Anderson being on his last year coming up, I don't see the Leafs renewing him. He's going to ask for more money, and rightfully so. He faces a ton of shots a night. So yeah, he's going to ask for more money, and he's making $5 million right now. I don't think he's a $5 million caliber goalie. Maybe in a different market, but not in Toronto. I think the Leafs could probably do something better from a goaltending perspective, and maybe, they do something I've strongly believed in for years now. Is you don't look at having a starting goalie. You got to have tandem goalies. You got to have two goalies that can split the season, and then you ride your hot hand, or you just play whoever you want in the playoffs because both goalies can get you a win. So Campbell, I'm not sure he's there for the Leafs, but he may very well be. He's a good goalie, and I think he brings a lot of energy to the team and a lot of positivity, and he's a very well-rounded individual when it comes to being, all in the guys' faces, like whatever, man. Like after every game, he's there to smile and pat everybody on the back. So he's like he's everybody's favorite teammate type of thing. So he may be one of two. I don't think the Leafs farm team system has a second goalie that I would say is NHL capable of splitting a season. And this comes back to you mentioning earlier, Robin Lehner. I wish the Leafs somehow found a way, because we got him from Chicago and then dealt him to Vegas in a completely strictly financial move, but because we ate $1 million of his salary. So it was all financial, but I actually do wish Robin Lehner comes to Toronto, because he's still young, and I think he's very level-headed, and he can handle the pressure from the garbage media in Toronto, and I don't see him letting it get to him, and I think he'd play a lot stronger, and he's a lot more physical as a goalie. He doesn't just let guys into his crease. He'll give him a two-handed slash if he needs to. He does what he has to do, and that's the goalie I'd love to see the Leafs get in the offseason, and it'll also free up some money for them too against the cap.
And Campbell didn't even play that bad in Los Angeles. He played really well. It's just that they had Jonathan Quick, and then they chose to go with the guy that they had in the system. So they just let Campbell go. Yep. And now like the Toronto could try and shop Anderson and then go with Campbell, because what do they have to lose? And you could free up more money to put on that defense. Like Igor said, he said Toronto has bodies, and look what happened. They do. But the difference between them and a team like Ottawa is the forward line is crazy good. They just don't have a defense. And if they could get anybody halfway decent to even just plug back there to defend, they don't have to score. They just have to defend. That would make the world of a difference on that team. Because how many easy goals have they given up just in that series against Columbus?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that would have made the difference in winning a game and losing a game.
That's the thing. I mean, when you have forwards blocking shots instead of your defensemen, and, losing Muzzin was a big thing, but, you have good defense when you can afford to lose one, knowing that you've got guys lined up behind them that can step in, right? And the Leafs had guys physically to step in, but I'm not sure Martin Marincin is going to be a guy who you can say, yep, when he's on the ice, we can count on him. They're not going to get through. And no, you can't. You can't do that with anybody on that team except for Riley. And I think Riley had an amazing playoffs for them. And it's unfortunate that there's nothing to show for it because I think Morgan Riley played a very good series, very strong series for him. Skated nonstop. He didn't look gassed at all. Like he didn't look bagged on any plays and came back every time, never got caught. Unfortunately, the Leafs have had this issue with defense for years, and until they address it, that's going to be the ongoing issue in Toronto for the GMs to deal with. Now, hopefully they can address that and then give a better run. But right now, they're not ready. They're not there yet.
Yeah. And it sucks for Toronto because they would have been able to keep that pick because it was in the top 10. But now because they didn't get that, now it goes to the Hurricanes, right?
Hurricanes, yeah. Yeah. So now you also look at the upcoming season. You have the expansion draft. So you've got Seattle coming in. So now you got to protect players. And the big question is, who do the teams protect? And it's tough because the good thing is for teams that have young players, they'll be ineligible, so you don't have to worry about protecting them. But for teams like the Leafs who have a lot of money tied into some big name players, obviously those are the guys you're going to want to protect. But I believe, I'm just looking this up really quick, the expansion, I think it was you can protect
seven forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie.
Yeah, so 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, or 9 players regardless of position. So if the Leafs choose to not protect their goalie, which might not be a bad idea, but might not be a good one either, they could just opt to protect 9 players. Any players with no movement clauses must be protected unless they've agreed to waive, which sucks because if they have a no movement clause, you automatically obviously have to protect them.
Now, and then I know they made it so that it's not like the Vegas where teams can easily do like the deals like don't take him for a first rower. I think they made it a little bit easier, but then Seattle was like, don't change it up too much because then you gave Vegas this chance and then not us.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it used to be 6 players and now it's 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why they did that. And if I'm Toronto, I'm doing 7 forwards. I might even do 9 forwards and not protect the goalie and the defense. Just let them be unprotected because
they got to protect Riley. He's gone if they don't protect him. You got to hold on to Riley, Morgan Riley. They can't not protect Morgan Riley. He's their only stud.
I don't know though because if he's the only stud, then their defense would have been a little bit better than it was.
But that's the thing. He was their only defenseman, right? And then Muzzin went down, so you got stuck with the slim pickings up back there. But again, because the Leafs only have one solid defensive pairing,
then you go 7 or 8 forwards and Riley.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's very possible, right? Like
because if you said you can do 9 total, you can protect 8, you can protect 8 forwards and 1 defenseman, unless the max number of forwards you can protect is 7. Then you do
no
7.
No max. It's any 9 regardless of position. So you can protect any 9, or you can choose 7 forwards, 3D, and a goalie. So you can protect more if you do it that way. But if you can guarantee yourself 9, then you can do it that way.
That would suck if they were like they didn't protect Anderson, so somebody could take him. So then they would use Campbell as the goalie, and then Seattle was like, "Nah, we'll take Campbell."
that would really suck. That would really suck, and it's possible too because Anderson's got a $5 million price tag with him, right? And he's only got a year left to burn.
I'm wondering. This is the question I'm wondering: is if who's he on now? I think he's on Chicago. Malcolm Subban. Isn't he the backup in Chicago?
Yes, I believe.
I'm wondering if they protect him or not.
He was let go by Boston, I believe. I think everybody's
he originally. I think he was on Boston. They let him I think they waived him after the expansion draft.
Yeah, and
then after Vegas, they waived him thinking that no one would take him, and then Vegas claimed him, and he wound up backing up on Marc-Andre Fleury, and then I think he went back to Boston, or Vegas let him go to bring in Lehner, and then that's when Chicago picked him up.
Yeah, and it's crazy you mentioned Subban because I keep forgetting the Leafs actually have Jordan Subban, which is the third brother.
I thought he was on Vancouver. He might have been on Vancouver. I knew he was on Vancouver at one point.
He plays for the Marlies, so he was he played for the Utica Comets in the AHL in 2017-2018, and then he played for the Ontario Reign, which I believe are based out of Florida. Okay. And then came to the Marlies, and he 18 points in 48 games. He's nothing crazy, but he's fast. I saw him practice. He's a quick skater. He's pretty good.
Morgan is more than welcome to come to Montreal.
Oh, sure. I'm sure you would love to see that. And then on top of with those expansion draft rules, the other thing was any player with 2 or less years of NHL or AHL experience is automatically exempt. So a team stacked with rookies is pretty lucky in this case because they're good.
That's why I'm happy for Farabee and Frost.
Yeah, that's 2 big players you guys don't have to worry about losing.
Them 2, even Carter Hart, because he came in halfway through last season, so he technically only has a year and a half of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they count a half of a year as a 4-year, then they would have to protect him. But technically, we don't have to protect him, Farabee, and Frost, which is big for us. I think we don't have to protect Myers either. I would have to look into it.
Yeah.
But there's guys on our team that we don't have to protect, and then we can worry about the other guys, even though part of me doesn't want to protect Claude Giroux. And I know that sounds crazy, but like it seems like every playoff he doesn't show up. He shows up for the regular season, and then he doesn't show up in the playoffs. And I just want him to show up.
Because he's a solid player when he plays. I mean, when he shows up, you don't want him to show up.
He has the most points in the past, I think, 8 years, I believe, of any guy. And then once playoffs hit, it's like he disappears.
Igor says Igor Shesterkin looks promising. He does. I think the Rangers have a really good problem in net between him and Georgiev, and that's why I said earlier on last week or the week before that I think Lundqvist's time in New York is done. He may either retire or may settle into understanding that he might end up being a more underutilized goalie, such as a backup. And man, if you've got Lundqvist as a backup goalie, that's amazing because he's a hell of a guy to rely on as a backup, who can very easily play a half season split with any goalie. So I think the Rangers have a good problem in that, and Lundqvist's done his time there, and who knows, maybe he might be heading out to whoever. I think we're going to see a lot of goalies changing this year. I think there's going to be a lot of goalie moves.
You won't be seeing Carter Hart going anywhere.
No, he's probably not anytime soon. Definitely not.
And I'm happy for that. He just turned 22 or 23 yesterday. I think 22.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
And if he can last like most goalies do, man, you guys are set for at least another 6-7 years with that guy, if not longer.
It only took 25 years.
Yeah. Talk about amazing chemistry, Riley and Weber. Oh my, this guy's I think he's drinking. I think he's hitting the vodka tonight because it's not happening. Why are we talking about something that's not happening? That will never happen. If the Leafs lose Riley, it will not be to Montreal. So, yeah, package whoever you want. You can tell me you're going to send Max Domi my way, or you can send Carey Price our way. It's not happening. The Leafs would be crazy to make a trade of any magnitude like that with the Montreal Canadiens. You haven't won a cup yet, Igor. Don't get too cocky.
What would you do if that happened?
If what happened?
If Riley were to go to Montreal somehow.
If Riley ends up in Montreal, it would only be through trade. So I would expect the Leafs to get a huge return because Riley is an established defenseman with an amazing contract, and there's no way that we're not going to get something big back in return. So, Igor, you're GM of the Montreal Canadiens. If you want Riley, who do you send back reasonably? Don't be crazy and tell me you're going to send me that UP mascot of yours. Who do you send to Toronto in exchange for Morgan Riley if it were to be a possible deal? I'm curious to see what you have to say here. Be serious.
Tell him the ghost of PK Subban.
Vancouver has scored again, 3-1.
Jeez, I'm telling you that they might be young, but they're quick and
On the
that's what I
power
like
play.
about
I'm waiting to see who scored it, but it was a power
them.
play.
It was Pedersen.
Pedersen again?
Yeah, Pedersen.
He's only got one tonight. Yep, Pedersen.
Yeah, it's Pedersen, because Horvat had the first one, and then Pearson had the second.
It's been a night of special teams because Vancouver's first goal was shorthanded, and then they scored on the power play. St. Louis scored on the power play, and now again Vancouver on the power play.
They're just a team each year that's gotten a little bit better each year with this young talent. That they haven't had the top 3 pick, but I think Pedersen was in between 4 and 7 pick overall when they got him.
Yeah, he was a hell of a pick.
Yeah, they just add the guys together, and then getting those veterans that they picked up this offseason, and they're just clicking right now. Because who did they? I know there's somebody like pretty well known that they picked up. Where is it? I want it to go. Not him. Of course, they got Bouger. Oh, they got Toffoli.
Yes, Tyler Toffoli.
They got Toffoli. They got Tyler Myers. They picked him up a year ago. Who else?
No, they definitely improved their team quite a bit.
They got Tyler Mott, I believe it is. Yeah, Tyler Mott. They got him from who? It was I forget who they got him from. Oh, and they got Ben. Jordy Ben.
Jordy Ben,
yep. Which his brother did pretty good last night on Dallas.
So Igor says, considering Morgan's age and the value he could bring to the franchise, Igor's got his thinking cap on. We'll see what he comes up with as his reasonable offer as a Montreal Canadiens fan.
And when you think of drinking cap, you mean the bottle of Jack.
Yeah. So he says you're willing to offer a package such as Weber and Domi for Riley. So I love Riley. I love Riley, and I don't know how much gas Weber has in the tank, and Domi would be a great addition to a team, just not the Leafs team. I think the Leafs have enough firepower up front. They just need to learn how to use it. So to lose a defenseman like Morgan Riley and gain an over-the-top defenseman who won't have as many years to offer as Riley has a hell of a shot, but I think we'd be taking a step backwards with this deal because the Leafs need defense. So they're not going to give you an all-star defenseman for a previous all-star defenseman who's on his way down in his career, and Max Domi. I mean, I don't know that Max Domi is ever going to be the player everybody thought he was going to be. He's okay. I don't know if we've seen his best yet, but I don't see Domi being enough.
There's a reason why Arizona got rid of him, because Arizona has been playing, well, up to now, they're playing Colorado, but there's a reason why they got rid of him, and that's because he wasn't playing up to his potential. And they just got whatever they could back for him.
So Morgan Riley's at an average of $5 million through to 2021-22. In comparison, for example, the Leafs extended Jake Muzzin, who's making some serious money. He got quite the raise. He's making $4.45 this year, and then that jumps to $8 million next season, which is wow, $8 million to Jake Muzzin, and then 6.5 in 2021, $4 million, and $4 million 2 years after. So they've locked Jake Muzzin into a pretty good deal with him making less money in his last 2 years of that deal. But he's locked in until 2024. That extension he signed was a great extension. Again, the Leafs have the money, I guess, to make it happen, but they also have some questionable guys out there. Like I don't know that Justin Hall is worth $2 million for the next 3 years after he was just making $700,000. Boggles my mind there because, I don't see how he's worth that kind of money. But that's not good. I would say offer declined, Igor. If I was playing PlayStation, you'd get that big pop-up on your screen right now that says declined, not happening.
Yeah. I see Bucky's ready.
So looking into tomorrow, we got Boston and Carolina playing the first game tomorrow. They're game 3. Colorado, Arizona. Colorado's got a chance to take that 3-0 lead in the series. Tampa, Columbus, they're tied at 1, so they've got their game 3. And then Vegas, Chicago is a late game at 8. So there's no super late game. It's an 8 p.m. game. Knights, Hawks. Where if Vegas wins, they are going to have Chicago on the edge of elimination. So we could see 2 series push to a 3-0 lead. And I don't know if any teams this year have what it takes to do a 4-game comeback. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Once it's the 3 games done, unless you're like a veteran team, in my opinion, it's hard for a team to come back, especially even with having Kane and Taves. I just think this is going to be the telltale game of the series. If they lose this, I think they're done. Or if they win this, maybe they can come back and tie things up in game 4. But they're going to need Kane and Taves to show up and then Kubalik to show up, in my opinion, for them to have a shot.
Yeah. So Igor says he would have a better offer, which I wouldn't be able to decline. I know he's going to probably include Gallagher in this package he's going to put together now. Something tells me. Matt Murray, no. You can keep Matt Murray in Pittsburgh. I think his days are done.
Would you take a call to the Rangers for Gorgiev, knowing that Shesterkin probably is the guy there?
Yeah, I would take one of those guys on. I mean, they're not going to be making $5 million a season, and the Leafs need money and they need a goalie. So, rephrase that: they don't need a goalie; they need a goalie making less money that could help them utilize their money in their defense, since a lot of their money is tied up in their forwards that I don't think they should be moving. So if there's a forward they should move or could move, I would say Nylander. But then again, he's got a really good contract that everybody knows is pretty good at $6 million over the next 4 years. It's also a very tradable contract. So he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player, but I don't like his style of play. I don't like how he turns away in corners. You don't see him fighting for pucks. If the puck's not on his stick, he's not chasing it. And for $6 million a season, I would expect a little bit more out of him. I saw more out of a guy like Alexander Kerfoot, who's making 3.6 next year and currently making 5 this year. And Nylander's making 9 this year. So I saw more drive and passion to win and desire out of a guy like Kerfoot than I did out of Nylander. And that's why I think I would move him if I was the Leafs.
Oh, yeah. Because what they need now is defensemen. Would you, like, this is what if, would you move one of your forwards that, they're great? I'm not saying, of course, Austin Matthews, but would you move one of the other ones if you knew you were getting a top-notch defenseman in return?
So, in looking at it, your top 3 are Matthews, Tavares, Marner. Each one making over $10 million in cap hit. I don't know that I would move either of those 3, knowing that you could move just below them. Like you could move Nylander. You could move Andreas Janssen, who, in my opinion, at $3.4 million, any other team could benefit from him, but with the amount of talent the Leafs have, they could easily replace him with a much lower cap hit with one of the guys from the farm team. I can see Nick Robertson being on this team next year, so I do think there's going to be some offseason moves that will make that possible. Kapanen's another one making $3.2 million, and unfortunately, we didn't see much of Kapanen in the playoffs, and I don't know if he's still aching or suffering from his injury, but he just didn't do much to even bother talking about. And then you got Zach Hyman, who and that's the guy I'm afraid of losing in the expansion draft. He's making 2.25 over the next 2 seasons, and very underrated because he's not a goal scorer and he knows it, but he's that guy that gets the puck back, and possession is a big thing. So That's the guy I'm worried about losing on this team because Zach Hyman is a workhorse, and I really don't want to see him get picked up.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you feel like he's part of the future, you want to make sure he stays there. Because then, if somehow he gets picked, then that's another guy that you got to replace on the thin team.
So Igor's rebuttal to his craziness was, who would you be willing to give up for Carey Price as a GM? So for Carey Price, let me educate myself a little bit here before I make my answer. Oh, geez. Okay, Carey Price is making $10.5 million through to. Oh my, he's making $10.5 million through to 2025-26. Wow. Okay, so if I'm taking Carey Price from Montreal, Montreal's eating salary big time because that's a lot of money. I'm talking about walking away from a $5 million goalie to a $10.5 million goalie for the next 7-8 years. Like that's a lot of money to tie into your goaltending. I think Montreal was crazy in making that move, and it's going to be hard to move him. And the only way I see them moving him is eating salary and a substantial amount. $10.5 million for a goalie is big money. Big money. Yeah, Austin says Price has a big contract. He definitely does. I think he's probably the highest paid goalie in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken. He definitely is.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
Who was it? Wasn't Bobrovsky that got a crazy contract too?
Yes, I think he got like $70 million.
Oh yeah, Bobrovsky's another one. $10 million through to 25-26. So him and Carey Price are making $10 million minimum for the next 7-8 years. And wow, these goalies are not being moved. And I think both of those teams are going to regret putting that much money into their goaltending.
Yeah, 7 years, 70 million. So he's making 10 year, exactly a year.
Wow. And he's 31.
Yeah.
He's 31, and they're going to pay this guy into his late 30s $10 million. And Carey Price isn't any better. He's 32. So this guy's going to be 40 years old making $10.5 million in net.
Guess how much Carter Hart's making right now? His contract's 3 years, $2.75 million.
Oh, man.
He's only making $700,000 right now.
$730,000. Wow.
So they need to take advantage of that right now.
Oh, yeah. You know he's going to be asking for a raise, and he's going to get one. But, I mean, as he should. And that's crazy money that these guys are throwing at goalies. I don't think we're going to see another goalie ever get that kind of money.
No.
Igor, do you remember what happened once Patrick Waugh left? They don't want to make the same mistake. Patrick Waugh was a tough one for you guys to lose, and I think that him going to Colorado changed everything, and it did suck for the Habs. I think you guys had a revolving door in net for a while until you found Carey Price, and you don't want that. You don't want a constant goalie change, but you don't have to worry about that because now that I saw Carey Price's contract, I don't think he's going anywhere because nobody's going to take that on. And I'm not sure how Montreal can swindle eating salary there because it's a lot of money. So that being said, what else is going on at AEE? Daniel, you've got a show right after this one.
Literally, yep. I'm going to get off. I pushed it to 9:15 just to give me a little bit of wiggle room in between. But I'll be hosting the second episode of Cage My IQ, going over tomorrow's UFC 252 fight card with Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier 3 headlining it. And just like Igor said, Sugar Sean O'Malley in fighting Marlon Vera in the co-main event. It's going to be a great fight. I'm going to go over a few other things on in the UFC world. Talk about the Fight Island if we feel they should go back to it, and then how Derek Lewis looked last week. So it's going to be me, game-winning drives, Drew Tremmel, and a buddy of mine, James Dululo, is going to join us for it. So that's going to be at 9:15. Igor, if you want to watch it on YouTube, just like you're watching right now, I'd love to see your what you think of everything, Igor. Since you won't be rooting for them Canadians much longer. And then I'm not sure if anything's going on tomorrow. Usually I do the main line tomorrow with Gary and Tim, but usually that's like right off the top of the hour. But Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, me and Alex Bedison, who was just on our RSH last night, we have Stand Your Ground. We're going to go over the Champions League and Europa League games, and then go over a few topics for the Premier League going into the season in a few weeks. The season starts September 12th, and right now both of us think that Liverpool's not going to win it next year. We have a clear idea of that. And then Igor just said Paige Van Zandt signed with the Bare Knuckle Fight Club, which is a good signing. And then we got all the pods going during the week. Monday we got Game Winning Drive and Paranormal Activities. Tuesday we got the boardroom. They're going to go over their predictions for the playoffs for NBA and see if they're on cue with what they said a couple weeks ago. On Wednesday we got Wednesday Night Wars with Anthony and Josh. You know how great that is.
Yeah.
On Thursday we have RSH, and Anthony's going to go on with them this upcoming week to go over the NXT TakeOver predictions and SummerSlam predictions, I believe, and then of course on Friday we come back around with Between the Pipes again, and we'll see how the upcoming week's slate of games in the playoffs will end up being. Hopefully,
next Friday I might be sending some tissues over to somebody here, so it's next Friday will be a good one. It'll be a nice. We'll see how Igor feels.
Those tissues are going to stay in Canada. That's all I'm going to say.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to Stand Your Ground on Sunday. I'll be joining that conversation because I cannot believe that 8-2 thumping today. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I hope no one listening is a Barcelona fan right now.
Oh, man. What a thumping. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. Guys, thanks again for joining in. Daniel, thanks for joining in as well. Good luck on the rest of your night and with your show. Igor, prediction again with the Habs versus Philly series. I can't tell you how many games. I think the Habs can take it. Either way, it's going to be a great series. I'm not surprised if it goes 7 games. It'll be a fun one. Guys, thanks again. Daniel, thank you. Get ready for your next show, and we are out. See you guys next week.